Ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So,
And then he's got a thing
like
too.
it.
Wait for it.
No, I'm not gonna do it now.
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Brad
pressure.
totally left us hanging.
No, left you hanging, bro.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You work it up too much.
Okay, sorry. But it's really good. Go ahead.
It's not really good.
It's not
I
that
hear it
good.
now.
Yeah. Okay,
Another
this
time.
is my impression of Brad's intro. Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to the closing crew. All right,
Why?
shenanigans,
Why?
Great job,
shenanigans.
Dan.
Okay, I feel like I derailed it already, so
All good.
okay, you guys gotta bring it back. But we are the closing crew, and we have a special guest today.
Hello.
Yes, the
Very
legendary Amelia.
Hi, guys.
What's
Yes.
up?
What up?
Not a
How's
whole
it
lot.
going?
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since the last time I think we sat down. How's everybody doing?
We're good. We're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Was it last week?
Earlier last week.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing good.
Good. Awesome. You know, Anton's got a brand new motorcycle. He buys one every week. It's very sexy.
Trying to hide it from his wife, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hiding in the garage. It was a true story. Yeah.
Yeah.
One time I was hiding bike behind the house.
His first bike he got and he
Oh my
hit it.
gosh.
Yeah.
How long did you hide it?
Maybe for a couple of months.
Oh,
But then
wow.
like I was thinking like there's no way she's gonna go back there because it's like a water heater, like a storage, like
Yeah.
what's she gonna do there? And
Yeah.
then of course like she was bringing some kind of like a plant pot or something or
course.
some kind of stuff. And she's going around the corner. She's like, "What's that?" I'm like,
Dude.
What is it?"
That is such a dangerous move. You are so ballsy, man.
Well, I mean, the story also is like I actually had a motorcycle accident, and then I promised her I'm not gonna ride for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then one guy at work, he was selling like a bike, and it was such a good deal. And I'm like, I have to buy it. So I bought it, and, and I have to time it so I come home like when she's not home. So I bought the cover, like a huge cover. It looks like like a trash bag. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put it there. I just gonna cover it. There's no way she will figure it out. But yes, she did.
Oh man.
You
Well,
still
I
have the
did.
bike?
No, I sold that bike.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Yeah, I'm buying, selling, fixing it. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, or modding. Like mostly like I like aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
it's funny because like, you're such a smart guy, but I think a lot of guys like when it comes to stuff like that make the dumbest decisions. Because like what was your exit strategy, right? It's like, oh, I'm just gonna hide this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
No. It's like so I promised her I'm not
2
gonna ride
years,
for 2 years.
yeah.
So like my thing was I just park it there
For 9
2
months.
Yeah.
for 1 year and 8 months.
1 year? Oh my god. You're 4 months into it and you couldn't hold that promise. Poor child.
Yeah. I've thought about that with like stupid stuff too. Like
Like a samurai.
like a samurai sword. Hannah, you know what's really funny though is like I brought it up jokingly. Like this was during like the Walking Dead, era.
Yeah.
I was like, Michonne had that samurai sword. I was like, dude, if the zombies come, I need one of those. This isn't for me. This is for the family,
There you go.
right?
That justifies it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I remember I was like, Hannah, we need to get a samurai sword. She's like, okay. I was like, like my jaw dropped. I was like, what? Should have done it. But anyways, all right.
It's not
So
too late.
what's that?
It's not too late.
Never. Yeah, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
a wall of
eventually.
samurai swords.
There you go.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
If you get a samurai sword, Anton's gonna get one, and his is gonna be like 10 times better.
Dude, hell yeah. I'll get one just to bait him
Yeah,
into
yeah,
buying a
And
really
all of a
cool
sudden,
one.
when we come here again, Anton will have like
A
10.
full wall.
Yeah.
I'll be like, dude, it's like excellent. That's why I brought the prop. So that you get a real one. You'll be like, what is this crap?
To pump me up?
Yeah,
Oh,
what is
okay.
this plastic crap? We have a samurai sword prop now.
Oh, actually,
but-
we
you go.
should.
yeah. Anyways,
You
okay.
should use it.
All right.
Enough shenanigans.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm really not setting us up for success here. So we have Amelia.
Yes.
It's so amazing. Every time I hear when I'm about to say your name too, I don't want to say Amelia. I want to say Amelia. Because it's very
You do always say it like that when I see
Do
you.
I? Yeah, it just slips out, I guess. It's very like regal. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you so much. My
Yeah.
parents gave it to me.
Awesome. So I will give you the honorary samurai of speaking, samurai sword of
Thank
speaking.
you. We have a talking stick.
Yes.
Heavier than I thought. it would be.
Yeah. So the closing crew, we know Amelia because Amelia is on Brad and Anton's team, the
Yeah.
Elevate group. And you don't have to hold it.
Okay, cool.
Just give it.
Sorry, you can take it.
And it's interesting, like every time we get together, right? Like you have very interesting stories.
I
You're
know.
a very amazing backstory. Like if
drop
you
a
were a
lot of
superhero, your origin story is like amazing. The arc is incredible.
Thank you, thank you.
So, you know, we were just like, hey, we should have her on.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like throughout all of my 20s, I would always be like, oh, life is so boring, and would kind of like get insecure about it. Like, I'm not doing anything with my life. And now at 35, it's like I'll drop little tidbits of things that have happened in my life, and people look at me like, wait, what? What did
You're
you
like,
do?
oh my
Like,
God,
well,
I've
I
done
guess
too
I
much.
have, yeah, I guess I have lived a crazy life for the last handful of years.
Yeah, I think last time I heard that you was traveling like for multiple
was,
years. Like, yeah,
yeah,
so I would
yeah.
love to hear that story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Start the origin story of Amelia.
Yeah.
Let's start
so-
with what is Amelia?
Well, I guess we'll start, I don't know, with getting my real estate license. I got licensed about 10 years ago, but I haven't really been in real estate for that long. So I have kind of a weird winding road with it. I got licensed, I think when I was, I guess 23, 24. Didn't really know what to do with it. Kind of just jumped into it. And then started at Keller Williams for like 6 months, and it just felt like a total fish out of water. You know, I wasn't expecting to have like a full-blown career, and let alone like be a business owner, so to speak. And then I ended up at Redfin and was just showing property for a while, loved it. And then I jumped in as their listings concierge for a couple of years. And that was kind of, I don't even know if they have a listings concierge anymore. It was kind of a new, it was like a brand new thing. We had one in San Francisco, and her job was kind of made up at the time to fit the market. And so they wanted to roll it out kind of nationwide. And so I was, I think, like the second or third that we did. And I kind of covered the East Bay. I was in Oakland at the time. And it was great starting out. And then just kind of, you know, it was a lot of trial and error with it. And then I ended up leaving and started traveling for multiple years. At the time, I was with my ex-husband. I'm divorced now. And that also kind of led me back into real estate. But he is a professional performer and entertainer. He's a sword swallower. So samurai sword is very fitting. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, so okay, already, I'm like, okay, what?
Yeah. Well, so that was kind of the funny thing, because I got into real estate, but at the same time, I had also kind of started. I had started dancing burlesque in Can in San Francisco. So I had kind of these like two paths in life, where it's like I had my normal daily career, and before I got my real estate license, I was just working retail. I was working at a bicycle shop and loved it. It was really cool. It was just like a little, I was there full time, but it was just a retail store,
Okay, so you met your husband, who was your ex-husband, who was a sword swallower.
Yeah.
And you were dancing burlesque.
How
did you guys meet?
We met because I was dancing, and he had a show in Pacifica at a little bar, and I ended up working on that show as what they call a stage kitten. So basically, you are like setting up and breaking down the acts. I would come in and sweep up all the clothing off, set up props, things like that.
Right.
And we started working together. We were really good friends for a while. He is also, he's been a performer forever. He's always been a street performer, magician, sword swallower, that whole thing. So, when we started dating, we moved in together, and I was kind of more immersed in the world of performing and street performing and vaudeville and cabaret and all of that. And it was really fun and wacky and wild, and, and it was also hard. That was also, I think, partially why I ended up leaving real estate, because I was kind of the one that had a job, and I was working 40 hours a week and just kind of busting my butt. And, you know, and then it's like I have all these friends that are like, oh, yeah, I just went and did like this cruise and made a bunch of money. And I'm working all these cool gigs and performing for all these people. And I made like $500 in 2 hours. And I'm like, I'm going to do that too, you know? So I never really performed full time or anything, but, you know, it was kind of hard, I think, watching people like do these really cool jobs and have so much fun and making a lot of money, and watching my, you know, my partner at the time do that. And he was, you know, kind of the breadwinner of the family, swallowing swords on the streets of San Francisco. And
So that
dang.
phrase in itself, I think
know.
you have to like really
wild.
kind of give it some context and,
Oh my
and be
God.
very careful with how you phrase that. But anyways, regardless, but you didn't see that in real estate? Like, did you ever see, like, I'm sure you see the big dogs in
I
real
mean,
estate.
now, yeah, for sure
Yeah.
now, but I think at the time it was more exciting to, you know, I was in my early 20s or mid 20s, and it was just more exciting to kind of live this fun life. Instead
That's
of
true. Like, if I saw
normal,
two
boring-
people on the street and one was like, hey, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking
Yeah.
about selling your home? And the other one's like swallowing
Yeah.
swords. I'd be like, well, dude, I'm going to tip that guy.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, and he, you know, he also, we ended up on the road because he had been wanting to start doing Renaissance festivals. And for street performers and performers in general, Renaissance fairs are a really good market to get into because you end up getting multi-year contracts a lot of times, and you're traveling around, and it's a really great setup.
And what is the Renaissance?
So the Renaissance fairs, they're all over the country, and it's literally just like a giant fair that basically recreates like 1500s era England. And
Like, you know, like knights and like, you know.
Oh, that
there's-
type of the show?
There's
Oh,
I see, I see, I
jousting
see.
and
I thought it's some
turkey
kind of
legs
organization.
and-
Okay, I
oh,
see.
no.
Okay.
It's like an actual festival.
Oh,
And
okay.
they're so much fun. They really are. And I always loved going to the one in Casa de Fruto when I was a kid.
Oh,
And I remember being a kid and being like, I want to work. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
What about Vegas? I think in Vegas they have like a couple
They
of those
they
shows.
have a small
they have a
one.
lot.
Well, they have like they have the jousting show at Excalibur.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah.
And then
yeah,
they
that's
do have like a weekend Renaissance festival, I think in October. I don't know if it's still going, but it's like a 1 or 2 weekend small show. I've never been, but
It's like the pinnacle, like, what was that? I went to that show in LA.
the medieval times.
Yeah. Is that the
Oh, yeah, I
pinnacle?
remember that.
It's like if you get there,
Well-
you're like the Michael Jordan of like sword swallowing.
No, actually, I actually have a friend who worked for Medieval Times for a long. He's a jouster on the Ren Fair circuit now, and he actually, when he told me that when he started at Medieval Times, he was like, I didn't even know how to ride a horse.
Wow.
Like it's kind of the gateway, I guess, to become a professional jouster. It's not really a huge market, but you know, now being on the Ren Fair circuit is that's probably the pinnacle, I would say, for being
like
a
a
jouster.
circus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So do you know what what is it called again?
Renaissance Fair?
No, the LA thing.
Oh, Medieval Times.
Medieval. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
The medieval.
Medieval Times. It's
I
like this
know.
huge like indoor coliseum. You know what
Yeah.
it is, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Took
So
the
it's-
kids
I'm
there.
like,
It's like a dinner show.
it's a dinner show,
Yeah.
but like you're like in the stands and there's like this huge table in front of you,
Yeah.
and like you're surrounded by all these people.
Okay.
And they bring you like medieval food, which
Yeah,
is
it's
essentially
like
just like Costco
turkey
rotisserie
legs,
chicken,
yeah.
and you just
Corn
eat it.
dogs.
Yeah, corn dogs and like beer.
They've got metal
Oh yeah.
plates.
I
you
think
know.
it's very similar in Vegas.
Yes,
Okay.
Like
it is.
like
yeah.
they also bring you like salad like thrown together
Right,
and
right,
like
right.
humongous beers like
Yeah.
the Steins.
and then you just eat that
Yeah.
yeah.
with your hands. Yeah.
And
but
you have your section of like
Yeah.
what night you're rooting for.
Right,
and
you're like,
all that.
yeah, kill him.
Yeah.
but
They're
in,
so
in
fun.
but in Germany I've been to the similar show like also in the tent where there was it was actually super nice show. It was like cabaret show.
Oh,
fun.
that's
so
something else.
so it's also like a tables dinner,
Mhm.
but then eventually it's
Sexy.
yes, they get very sexy. It's very nice. It's like
love
the
that.
the quality of it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The quality of what?
Quality
you
of,
specify?
of,
Quality of what?
of food and show.
There you go.
Okay, got it.
I love that.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys were doing the Renaissance Fair,
Yeah.
and then did
I mean, I was on the road for 5 years. It was something I always wanted to do that too. I think
So like where do you guys travel to? Like is
all
it just
over the
US
country.
or
yeah,
like
all over the
international
United
too?
States.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We lived in an RV for 5 years, and which was fun. You know, it was.
Just
I always
driving it
wanted to
around?
do that. Yeah, we had a tow behind, so we actually started off with a really tiny little trailer, and then we upgraded to a slightly bigger trailer, and then upgraded to an even bigger trailer, and then downsized a tiny bit, but not much, and then I got off the road. So, but we towed it and.
Oh,
just
okay. So
drove
it was a
around.
trailer. So it was not like
Yeah.
a one. Or,
Yeah,
okay,
not
gotcha.
one that I always wanted one of those where you could just drive it and
Yeah.
lay in bed with my dog while we're on the road. But yeah, that
Dude.
never happened.
That is so cool.
Man,
It
that's
was
cool. So
great.
all 50 states, you guys
Not
did
all
it
50. We
Okay.
had, I think, I mean, we were pretty much probably 9 months out of the year working. And we had kind of a set route. So, so we had contracts, like multi-year contracts with like a handful of shows.
Wow.
I think probably maybe 6. I could be wrong. I think maybe 6 shows. And we would start in Arizona and then go to LA, up to Oregon, Wisconsin, New York, Florida, and then we would winter in Nevada.
What's
That's-
what's the most like a profitable place for the show? Like
You know, they all are kind of the same,
Oh, the same?
honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, let's see, probably Wisconsin, I think, was
really?
probably,
Wisconsin.
yeah.
I was thinking it'd be the coast or something.
You would think it. I don't know. I feel like it could just be because of the time of year where it's like all the other. We would start in Arizona, and it's always kind of a cheap show. People don't tip as well there. I don't know why, but it's a really fun show. That was always my favorite show to do. That one's actually happening right now. They're going into their final weekend.
Do you
this
feel the
weekend.
itch?
No, I'm
go
actually.
back.
I see pictures. I still am. I love all the people that I worked with, and I miss them all dearly. But I follow what's going on. But yeah, when they start a show, I'm like, oh, so happy to not be there. I'm so happy to be in California and not Arizona right now.
That's
But,
amazing. So
yeah.
before we move on,
Yeah.
so in 5 years of living on the road and going all across the states, you know,
Yeah.
what's like the craziest thing you saw? Like, there's got to be
Oh,
some.
gosh.
I'm sure there's so many, but like, what is like the nuttiest thing you saw or experienced on the road?
Yeah, I don't know.
Cannibal biker gangs?
No, nothing that. Honestly, being on the road was pretty boring. It was pretty boring. Like the travel days were pretty boring. I would say the worst drive, and this was actually kind of crazy. It was right after the pandemic, and so the trailer that we had been living in, we were parked in Pahrump, Nevada, for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And so, and it was great. I loved living down there. It was really cool. Hour to Vegas, really beautiful area, pretty close to California. But you're sitting in the desert. Your trailer's not moving. So it's just kind of getting warped from the summer in Arizona.
Yeah.
And it was already a trailer that needed a lot of work. And so when we ended up actually getting back on the road, the trailer had kind of warped a little bit. So we had issues with like the slide out of our bedroom. They have the walls that slide out, right?
Yeah.
So our bedroom one wouldn't go in all the way. And we were like,
man.
oh, crap. So
Damn.
we finally get that fixed. We do our whole circuit. And on the way home, we noticed that the panel at the front end was like starting to rip apart. And it was just like, oh my God, this is... Fingers crossed our whole house doesn't just fall apart on the middle of like Highway 10 through Texas or something. That happened. We had more slide out issues. One of the nights we left, I think made it like 45 minutes from our starting point, and our tire blew out. And we called AAA. We were on the side of the road for like 3 hours. They finally come. They replaced it with the spare, and the guy said the spare's almost bald. So get to where you're going tonight and then immediately replace it with a new tire. We got off the exit to the campground we were staying at, and the spare blew like 10 minutes from the campground. And we couldn't move it. And it was like 2 a.m. at this point, and we ended up just sleeping on the side of the road. And I remember like I was crunched up in my car. We took 2 cars. So we drove separately. So I was in my little Honda CRV with my dog like crunched in the back seat trying to sleep. And then my ex-husband was in the truck, kind of keeping an eye on everything to make sure there wasn't gonna be like a crazy person to like kill us. But yeah, that was probably the craziest drive. Also, you know, driving through bad weather was always really scary. We had one night where there was like kind of an unexpected snowstorm, so the roads weren't prepared, and I've never like held the oh shit handle as hard as I did that night. And it was just like, oh my God, we're gonna die. But we didn't. We survived, and you know, just stuff like that will kind of give you some white hairs. You know, it's
absolutely.
not fun. Yeah.
But it's cool because once you survive, now you have cool stories.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Like,
did you have any weapons on you?
well, I mean, I was married to a sword swallower, so we had,
Swords
we
everywhere.
had a ton of swords in the house, but that was about it.
Could you imagine some guy, like some poor guy's like, I'm gonna break into this RV, and he like opens it, and there's like dude without a shirt, just like with like 10 swords.
Yeah.
One is in his mouth.
Right. He's like, I'm gonna kill you with this one.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, sorry.
He's like, all right, see you. Sorry.
That's awesome.
So I'm actually curious, like, so the sword swallowing, like, is it the real thing, or is it?
Yeah.
So
No, it's-
for
How do you
How does it not
practice
just
that?
like cut everything all the way through and just
Well,
kill you?
So the blades are always blunt. It's not a sharp blade
Yeah,
by
I see.
any means. So you have to like really like round out the edges and make sure there's no nicks or anything on
see.
it. And then, yeah, you kind of just train your body to not have a gag reflex. And
wow.
I think there's 3 points, like 3 sphincters throughout, like from your throat down to your stomach. And really it's like once you get it past the first, I don't think there's really any nerve ending. So you
Wow.
can't really feel it. So it's kind of just learning to relax your body and then, you know.
So if something
hitting
goes
the
wrong, you don't
things.
even know. You're just killing yourself. You don't even know what's happening.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I think you would
Oh my God.
know. I think you would probably. I don't know. I've never experienced having. You know, I know of horror stories.
really?
Yeah,
Tell
there's.
us.
Yeah.
We want to hear a
Well,
horror story.
so there's
Why am I
one.
holding this thing? Here it is.
There's one where
Maybe you can teach Dan now.
Yeah, yeah, try it.
yeah, there you go.
the whole time I just be
This is also such a coincidence that you bring
Yeah,
a sword.
right?
Seriously.
And then,
It's meant to be.
Did you
Just
know?
try it, Dan. Just try it.
I don't want to excite Brad. It's like I want to do this.
No, there was one guy. I don't know if somebody taught him how to sword swallow, and he was trying to impress friends, and he took the dipstick out of his car and cleaned it off and swallowed that. And like that's obviously not like a prepped
Oh my gosh.
prop. And I think he nicked like the lining. I ended up getting like a crazy infection, and I don't know if he was I can't. This was a long time ago. I heard this story. I don't know if it's true, but.
Right.
I don't know if he got paralyzed or what, but it was like a whole thing.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna admit something really stupid. Okay, so I know you guys probably
sword one
think
time.
that I am, but I'm not a doctor. So I don't know
you're
what's
not?
happening inside my
Oh my
body.
gosh.
But I just kind of imagine like when I think about the inside of my body, I think of my throat, and then the instant it goes to here, I feel like it does squiggly stuff, and then like my heart's somewhere here, and then I got like lungs and stuff. But like if you're swallowing a sword, like that's coming out of my penis.
Well, you can only swallow. You can only go
how
so
long is
long.
it?
I think it depends on the person.
Were they shorter than this?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely. Yeah.
wait, is he swallowing like pocket knives?
No, they're like full. They're full story. I don't know how long they are,
They're
but
pretty
they're
long.
like
I mean,
full
they're not
swords.
as long as that.
Yeah.
That would even be terrible.
Where did that come from?
It was a buy one get one free situation.
It's funny because like there's no way to vet like the quality of sword
Yeah.
swallowing. So I just imagine like, I'm imagining him like swallowing like, rapiers and like,
Yeah.
samurai swords. But
I
then
mean,
like,
they were. He had.
it'd be funny if it was just like a
rapiers, yeah.
little like butter knives, like, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
and then like a pocket knife. "Ugh." It's like, that's why the career didn't take off.
Some people do. I mean, there is a way to vet sword swallowing, but you have to kind of
Like by inches?
You have to. Well, you just have to know you have to watch a lot of sword swallowing, and you can go, oh, that person's not good, or oh, that person's great. I mean, there are sword swallowers who are like, I'm a sword swallower, and they will pull out a knife that's like that big, and it's like, pfft, that's nothing, But
If
you know,
somebody
there's
pulled this dagger out like that and swallowed it, I would run.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
impressed,
this is a
Yeah.
dangerous person. I'm leaving.
But
But
no,
this
I mean,
is
there's-
impressive that like the
Yeah.
sword swallowing is for real, because I
Yeah.
was thinking
Yeah.
it's just like a retracting it. You know,
Yeah.
I was thinking it's just like a magic show that when
Yeah.
they
There
put
are-
this in, it's just like
Yeah.
getting smaller inside, and
Yes.
that's pretty
well,
much
there
it.
are people
Yeah.
that do that,
Okay.
and that is, I think people like I've seen it where people start off with something like that, where it's like this, it'll be like the size of the samurai sword, but it's actually just a measuring tape that they've taken off all the, giving you guys some magic secrets. If you ever see the fake sword swallow, it's just like a measuring tape that has or like the slap bracelet.
Yeah.
They just sand it down so it looks like a metal blade, and then when you put it in your mouth, it curls up. So you can do the impression that you're swallowing something really long, but then it's fake. So they usually will start off with that to explain like, oh yeah, some people think this is all sword swallowing is, and then they pull out the real thing and, we'll show you how it's done. But,
I mean, I'm impressed. That's for real. Wow.
Yeah. And there's always going to be
crazy.
people that think that it's fake no matter what. But I've seen accidents. I've seen swords. I've seen, it's like.
Have you seen anybody die?
No. No. I've seen people almost die, but.
Dude, what a terrible death.
I know.
You're like, hey guys, watch me. And then that's it. And you're like, Brad?
Yeah.
Brad?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go.
I feel like there was a street performer somewhere. I can't remember where it was. And again, I don't know if this is a true story. I just hear stuff and, I feel like a lot of performers love to just make stuff up sometimes. But I think there was a guy, maybe in like Australia or somewhere, that swallowed a sword and somebody in the crowd came up and kicked him thinking it was fake. And like, obviously you've got a metal rod in your stomach very close to your heart. And I'm pretty sure the guy died instantly. But
What a jackass.
yeah.
What a jerk, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like he
And
Sparta kicked him in the chest?
Yeah. I have another friend who didn't die, thank God, he's still alive, but he used to swallow and then he would juggle clubs, which is also really dangerous. And he, I think, hit the top of the hill once, and it knocked the sword into his heart, and so that put his heart into like arrhythmia, and he did have to go to the hospital, and it was like a whole thing. But he's good now. Yeah, but a lot of times that will happen where it's like the lungs will get bruised or the heart will get, because it's only like a centimeter away from the heart when it's
Did he stop doing that?
Not then. But I think he's retired now, but I don't know how soon after that he quit performing, but
Dude, I'd quit right away. Be like, that's it.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But
That's
you meet a lot of characters when you're, and
Wow.
I mean, that was the fun thing, it's like doing burlesque and then, meeting just a ton of street performers and magicians. It's like, I feel very lucky because I know so many cool people that are so talented, and it's just like, wow, this is crazy that you've made a career doing this. I mean, on the Ren Fair circuit, there's performers who have been doing this for years and years, and they're super successful and very wealthy from doing it. So,
That's something I've wondered about. Like, so, like, what kind of money are we talking about? If it's
it ranges. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when we started, when you're first starting, it's kind of hard to kind of figure out how, your expenses.
Right.
And
It's like, what's the going rate for placing a sword into your body?
Well, and it really depends on, a lot of it, I think, too, depends on how you are with your own money, and then also your experience. I mean, people, when we started, it's like no one knew who he was, so it's not like people were coming specifically to come see him. But I'm sure now, I don't know what his finances are now, but
So he's still doing it.
oh yeah, he's still on the road. But
So what's like an average, like let's say day show? So if you do one show, like one night show, like how like
well,
like
so
what's
it
the
depends. So I don't.
just an
When
average?
you're on the Ren Fair circuit, you're doing usually 4 or 5 shows a day, and it's Saturday.
wow.
Where Saturday, Sunday is when the shows are open. So then you're doing 8 shows a weekend,
Okay.
and it's all tip based. I mean, the festival will also pay you like a base salary to be there, but most of your money is coming from tips. So it can range dramatically. It really depends on the crowd and the weather and how you were that day. But I mean, there are some days where it's like, oh my God, like I made $20 in my hat. And then there are other days where you've made like, I've just made I broke a hat record. I made $500. So it just kind of depends on the day. But
I see.
yeah, I mean, there's people that I know who they've been on the circuit since the 80s, and they, people come specifically to see their show. And so they're like, they're set, and the festival will pay them a hefty amount to be there as well, because the name is known and people want to see them and they're excited to see them.
It's like David Copperfield and stuff.
Yeah.
Are those people like eventually going like into like a Circus du Soleil or something?
Sometimes.
Like,
I mean, Penn and Teller got their start on the Run First circuit.
Wow,
You know? Yeah,
Penn and
there's-
Teller.
Yeah, and that's
Cool.
the funny thing too about that world is that there's so many people who are like, oh yeah, I've known Penn and Teller since the 80s. Like we used to perform on the stage together back in the day. You know, it's like just kind of it's like such a small circle, the magic and variety circle that, you know, everyone kind of knows.
it's
each
like a
other, but-
community, everyone know each other.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Ren Fair, it was great. I feel like for me, like I kind of got back into it. I think I was at the time when we got the opportunity to travel, I was kind of burnt out with real estate. And I think also I was a listings concierge at the time, and I think I was just kind of burnt out with where that was going for me. And getting the opportunity to travel, it was like, oh my God, yeah, like I've always wanted to do that. And I ended up getting back into just managing shops. So I actually worked for a couple friends of mine managing clothing shops, and I had worked for like a garlic company that did like garlic seasonings and things like that. And just kind of managing more in like a retail space on the circuit. And it was great because it's, you know, you work 2 days a week and then you have a 5-day weekend. And when you're doing that, it's like, I don't have like, you know, I'm not a business owner. I don't have like major responsibilities during the week. So it was really nice just kind of going in and getting to dress up every weekend and just chatting with the patrons and selling stuff. And then, you know, traveling every 2 months to the next show, and it was really fun. It was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's a lot of really cool artisans and really crazy people on the circuit, but they're wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can understand why Redfin burned you out.
Yeah.
It burns out most people that work there. So
Yeah. You know,
I think that's the business model, right?
yeah, pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I loved Redfin. And maybe it's a little bit more like, you know, I'm not in it now, but I look back on my time at Redfin and I loved being an associate agent. Oh my God, it was the best. You know, just like open your calendar whenever, go show property, look at some really cool houses, meet cool people. And then when they want to go to the next step, it's like, all right, I'll contact your agent, see him on the next tour. And you kind of don't have to do any of the dirty work. I love doing that. And then, you know, the concierge job was just, it was a lot, you know, and it's kind of crazy looking back on that now. Cause I mean, I was one of the first 3 to do that job. And it's like, oh my God, that's a lot of responsibility to like basically help pilot this program for the entire country. And I
We
think
got a lot of OGs here.
I know.
Essentially, Brad and Jim, like
Yeah.
you guys started the second market, right? For
Silicon
Redfin?
Valley, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you pioneered that program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. It was crazy.
that's cool.
But I don't know. I'm grateful for Redfin. I don't hate Redfin, but yeah, it's definitely, it's corporate, you know,
Right,
corporate loves to burn you
Or
out.
was it just
so.
like very busy, very intense?
It was, you know, with the concierge program, it was really fun when I started because it was kind of like, it was like the Wild West. We didn't know what we were doing. And I was working mostly just in the East Bay and kind of just worked with our team leader, Tom Hendershot at the time. And Tom and I would just kind of cruise in and he was the listing agent. And then I would kind of go, all right, well, let's refinish the floors. Let's paint. Let's do XYZ, set it all up. And then we had a really good thing going. And then they started adding in more agents. And then it was like, okay, well, we need to give you guys a budget and, you know, trying to just figure out what works for the client. And a lot of times what the company wanted to do that would probably work great in, you know, Kansas was not something that would work great in the Bay Area, you know? So kind of trying to explain that or saying, hey, this doesn't work out. And they'd be like, okay, well, try to make it work. So it was just a lot of push and pull with that. But I hope they figured it out. I don't know. It was great. I mean, I loved it. I don't want to talk bad about Redfin, but
Yeah, you worked well. Tom was a great guy too.
Tom was wonderful. Yeah. I love the Oakland team. It was a good time. So, and Oakland's just a beautiful place to look at property.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool real estate and there's a lot of really scary real estate as well. You know, especially in Oakland, there were a lot of tours where I was very naive and just kind of rolling into neighborhoods I probably shouldn't have been in, you know, just like, all right, here to show property. And
that happened actually happens to me when I just arrived in the US and I was shopping for a car. And I think it was like a Volkswagen Touareg. And I mean, and they didn't know like what's the dangerous area.
Yeah.
And then there's one in Auckland. So I'm going there like, there's one guy black guy. He's like showing me the car and he's bring all these papers and I'm like, what is this? He's like, well, yeah, so I never registered under my name, but this is like all the papers. So I'm like, okay, let's test drive it. So we're test driving it. And he's like, oh yeah, let's go inside my house. I want to show you something else.
Oh, man.
I'm like, well, okay. So I'm going inside his house. So he's like, oh, let's go to the backyard. So we're going to the backyard and there's another 4 guys sitting.
Dude.
And I'm like, so bro, what's going on? He's like, so are you buying it or not? I'm like, I have a couple other vehicles I want to see today. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then they're all looking at me like this. And then he holding this like stack of paper. And
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and it's not his car. So
Yeah.
I clearly like I kind of figured it out. I'm like, cool, okay. So
I gotta go.
I don't know how I like actually escaped the
Survived?
situation.
Yeah.
But like eventually I'm like kind of was like polite and everything with them. I'm like, okay guys, nice to meet you. So I'll let you know if I'm interested. And I'm like, oh my god.
Whoa.
Dang,
And then I told
dude.
someone like I went to Auckland. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Like on the Craigslist
Right.
post. They're like,
It's like
what?
I went to go buy a car and I came back with all this meth. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Oh
That's
no.
crazy.
So
Man.
that was
Oh,
That's
Anton.
scary.
Dude.
There's a lot of stories about Anton where he just barely makes it out of the lot.
We need to do it. So we need to do a podcast episode of Anton's adventures.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
But that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Like you can't make that stuff up. You
It
should
was
like
a
write
really
a book.
good time in my life. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that I did it because when I was young, I think that, saying earlier, it's like, I feel like I remember turning 30 and going, I feel like I wasted my 20s. And now it's like, well, no, I really didn't. I really took advantage of it because I think I was so scared of just like never doing anything fun in my life. And now looking back, it's like, yeah, no, I'm glad I did all those things. I always thought the whole like van life thing was really cool and traveling around and working remotely and getting an opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, I learned a lot and, life happened, got divorced, moved back but I have no regrets. It was the best thing possible. So
All these
great.
stories make up who we are. So
exactly.
that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Like who like that's the last thing. I remember when you said that.
Yeah.
It took me like an hour to the whole time I was just like, wait, what did she say? Wait, did I mishear her? You know what I mean? So
That's
pretty
usually
cool.
everyone's reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, it's funny because it's just my life, and
Right.
so I'll drop things super casually. And for a long time too, it's like I'm talking to other people where it's like, they're also in that world. So it's just like every day for us, And so now it's like I'll drop things and people are like, what did you just say? I'm like, oh, right. Sorry, I forgot. You don't know
That's
about
wild.
me.
Cool.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's super
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, great stories.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Super interesting.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. Let's wrap it up. Signing off. The closing crew.
Thanks, Amelia.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Amelia.
you. Thank
usually Brett gave us a show, but
Peace, y'all. Let my ears breathe a little bit.